Woke up to this schneet. Ghosts around here. Spooky. So anyway guys, welcome back. Today we're just gonna keep on keeping on. I'll drag my R31 up, so this afternoon we'll get started on that, pull the motor out of it, finish my U-Butte catch can, and yeah, just keep on trucking along. So one of the first things I've got to sort out is need to do a dump run. There's so much crap in front of the shed there from the past couple of builds. So I'm just gonna grab the trusty old Rodeo and go pack it full of crap and take it to the dump. Got to go get rid of all that old oil for a bit as well. Big rig. Big red, big rig. Rightio, so I got all the scrap, put it in the scrap trailer, put all the rubbish in the big red rig, go to the dump. Mint. Muchos better. Gotta get rid of all this GQ RB30 crap. Alrighty, we are back from the dump. You can see the seam seal started to go off. Good as a bloody new one. So that new seam seal will hopefully stop a lot of that moisture that was getting in behind them seams and rusting them out. So rust converted, plated over, seam sealed again, and that should be ace. Brilliantly nice, and that'll just get sort of painted over as well. So yeah, now it's time to get this up and sort out this freaking exhaust and get it outside so that I can bring mine up here before it starts raining again this afternoon probably. Anyway, just gonna give the old tub of the Rodeo a bit of a clean out because it's full of oil from all the oil we just took to the dump. And yeah, one of those days it's hard to get going because there's so much to do before we got to do other stuff. Back in Boss Hog, just for a minute, while I go down and jump stop the old slide line. Dirty old thing. Let's see how she goes, eh? Yeah. Ah, there we go. That's what we're looking for. Not bad. I'm very much going to regret selling this thing again, but hey, gotta do what you gotta do. Woo, give it all a big clean up before I go work on it all. Should really turn it off to do it, but then I won't be able to get it started again without jumping it again, which would just be a pain. So just try and degrease it as much as I can, just so it's not completely gross to work on. That's the other thing, while the engine's out, that's a block that I've got for my oil cooler is also leaking somewhere, so I'm pretty sure it's one of the orbital fittings on the edge of the block, like either the feed or the return from the cooler on the actual block is leaking. So I need to investigate that while I've got the motor out also. That and the sump are the only two oil leaks I believe this thing has, so get them sorted while it's out. And then she can go and I'll cry myself to sleep. Oh man. Gosh, this thing is dirty. Get all these leaves out. Man, that degreaser works so good. Big fan. Man, look how good this engine bay looks in the sun when it's clean. I swear to God, as soon as you make the decision to sell something, straight away a car looks better every time you freaking look at it. That happened to me last time I sold this car as well. I remember I was driving past it when I was down next to the container after I'd made the decision to sell it, and I was like, damn, that is a nice looking car. Look at that engine bay. Bloody hell. Even this thing out here with no doors on it. Just looks ridiculous. Yeah, not bad. Anyway, so that's out of the way. Time to get this thing in on the hoist. Get the goddamn motor out of it. Back on the old jack it up onto the hoist chestnut, eh? This thing's so low. Anyway, it's gonna be it for now. I'll just chuck these on a time lapse while we rip this motor out, which shouldn't take us very long. Rightio guys, so the old battery went flat sometime through that time lapse. I don't know how much I actually saw before we pulled the motor out, but as you can see, motor is out. Bit of a painful exercise actually, a bit more painful than I expected. But that's alright, it's out now. So now it's time to start sorting out all these freaking oil leaks. Pulled the clutch off it, and the clutch is, as I sort of expected, fairly average. So it's gonna have to get a new clutch, get put in it, because can't really sell it with a bung clutch like that. I knew it was probably going to be the case because, as you just remember from me building the car, this clutch wasn't exactly the greatest when it went in there. It's just one that I had lying around, and it didn't cost me any money, and it had a little bit of life left, so I thought I'd chuck it in. But since then, as you've seen from my driving, it does get punished quite a bit. So new owner's going to get a fresh clutch because it's just going to have to happen. So lucky for me, Rex has already bought a brand new clutch for his Skyline, which he is not going to need as far as, you know, I'll need it a lot quicker than him. So what I'll probably do, we've got a new clutch here for it. I'll chuck that in this when it goes in, and then I'll just buy one, and Rex can... Oh, unless you... Oh, do you want this to sit on the hoist? No, we can just leave it on the hoist then, and you can wait for the new clutch, and yours can just sit outside. Yeah, nothing to say. So anyway, put that one on it, and can go back in the car. That way it's not going to hold us up, and I'll just order another one, pay for it, and that could be the one that goes in Rex's, because I'm going to need it, evidently, a lot faster than Rex is. So no, just like we got that lying around, I suppose. The other thing is I have a new distributor cap for this one that is melted. Thank you to a bloke by the name of Brandon that used to go on YouTube by the name of Skylines and things, but he's actually since sold his Skyline, and I think he changed his YouTube name, so can't actually remember exactly what his YouTube name is, and I don't have enough service out here to actually look at it, so I will put it on the screen somewhere, the updated one. I'll put a link to it so you can go check it out. So I'll chuck that on as well. And yeah, this little block here that the oil filter goes onto leaks also, so that's pretty much the two major oil leaks of this car that I'm looking to fix before it goes for new home sale to new home. The other thing you might remember from when I built this car is I didn't have any flywheel bolts, and I couldn't buy any, and all I could really get hold of was ARP, and they were going to take too long and they were going to cost too much. So what I did was just got some Ganger Bunnings high tensile bolts and cut them down to size so they would fit in the flywheel. So what I will do when it goes back together this time as well, I actually have some flywheel bolts now from another RB I did. I pulled out a set of just RB flywheel bolts to put in a set of ARPs. So to actually have a stock set of RB flywheel bolts. So I'll put in some proper flywheel bolts when I put it back together as well, so there's no use of not getting my dodginess, because, you know, it's a little bit dodgy. Don't mind doing that stuff for me, but if I'm going to sell the car or do it for someone else, it's definitely not the sort of thing I would be doing. But it got me out of trouble at the time, got the car together for cheap at the time. But yeah, now it's going for someone else, or going together for someone to buy. It'll all be getting done just a little bit more proper. So this is the little culprit devil right here that I could never get to seal properly and stop weeping. And I'll show you. Actually, I probably won't even bother showing you, but it's not the standard size bung. This has been drilled out, welded in, it's been modified. And again, the story goes, as I've told it a few times, I didn't realize that this had been modified until I'd already welded in this bung and painted up the sump ready to go on this motor. I'm pretty sure it was actually already sitting on the motor when I realized that that was not right. And at that point, I decided to run the gauntlet and just hope it was all right, and it just didn't work out for me. And as you can see here, this is obviously from, I must have hit a rock or something when I was going through the pits at Matsuri, and it's put a nice big ding in the old sump. So, new sump has got no dings, stock bung, and now has -10 breather as well. So that'll help the ring gap, the blow-by issue twofold. Firstly, without pressurizing the crankcase and having the pressure on the backside of the ring, it actually helps the rings to seal better. And secondly, without pushing pressure up the crankcase, it's not going to have so much blowing out of the tapper covers, which is what is filling the catch can. So works two ways, the old breather and the sump, so it should pretty much sort out those issues as well. And this thing is pretty safe for a fair amount of burst, whoever buys it, because the ring gap's pretty, what would you say? Generous, yeah. Pretty much gapped it up because high comp pistons and was going to boost it anyway, so that's why the gap's pretty big, and that's why there's a little bit of blow-by. But rather have a little bit of blow-by than have a butted up ring.
Blow-by is annoying, butted up rings death.
Alrighty, yeah, with the old, cleaned all the old RTV off the surface. Rex is just pulling off that block to try and see what it actually is that's leaking over there. I'm pretty sure it's one of those fittings right there.
Yeah, it's the actual block.
If you just take the whole block off and we'll have a look at it, but if you have a look, one of the fittings, the way it's been machined, seems to be like it's offset, and it doesn't actually, the O-ring doesn't cover the whole area sort of thing. Anyway, so a new sump can go on with some new RTV. Should be all good to go. Went through all this, it all feels good, so. Good old bin motor, eh? Not bad at all. Completely dry main seal, which is, you know, good. The less things I have to touch, the better. So this is what I was talking about with this block. You can see that hole on the left there is offset really far down. And it doesn't leave much meat just there on the bottom part where that fitting goes in for the actual O-ring to seal against anything. So when you put this in and you look from the bottom, that O-ring actually sort of hangs over the edge of that machine surface a little bit, and I believe that is where this thing is leaking from so badly. So yeah, I think that's probably the worst of it. The only other thing could be this might be a little long and it might not actually be tightening down the block against the actual engine block properly. So I could also probably just shave a little bit off that maybe. I don't know, I'll test it and see first. Rightio, so I've got this block back on. So I thread taped the crap out of them fittings and also RTV'd them, as you can see, and tried to sort of smear the RTV right in where those open gaps were, where they didn't quite come onto the machine surface. So that's been put back on with some rubber grease on the O-ring, and that should hopefully be sweet. As you can see, new sump's in, fresh sump, so hopefully no freaking leaks. Thank you very much. Also just degreased all underneath the car quickly. Steering rack and everything, like all that stuff was just covered in oil from both the catch can being up that side and spewing it out down that frame rail, and also from that block being on this side as well, and just pretty much leaking it straight down on that engine mount onto the K-frame and the rack and everything. So degreased all that, gave it all clean up, and obviously inside the box there, all looks to be pretty sweet. Just heaps of clutch dust. Like heaps of it. There was heaps on the flywheel as well, which Rex actually cleaned up and gave a whiz. So that's looking pretty good. And this here is the new clutch kit, ready for the big girl. So X80 heavy duty clutch kit. So that'll all go in as well. So getting a bit of a birthday for someone else. But anyway, I'm pretty confident that this, fixing that oil leak, fixing this oil leak, and then changing the catch can setup, as well as making the sump breathe and having it draw back through the intake. I'm thinking that really should pretty much fix all of the issues that I've been having with this car. Now, like I said, the only other one is the putting a right angle fitting on the wastegate port here to stop the hoses splitting, and that wastegate reference kept coming off, if you can remember that. So I'll put a right angle fitting on that so that stops happening as well. And that's really the only issues I was having with this car. And yeah, brand new clutch, so that's cool. It's a cool little bonus. What do you got there? Oh, nice. So yeah, I'll put that on the wastegate. I'll position it when it's in the car so I know the right angle, but nice. Right angle. And as you can see, no dents, perfect sump. Really, really nice sump. So anyway, just a note for if you purchase this car and you're watching this, the car is very low, so be very careful of that sump because, very easy to really make a mess of it. Look at that. Fresh rotator cap. Oh, she's nice. To replace my one that got melted by the hot side. So I don't know if you remember from the last time I actually drove, I actually put a heap more timing into this to try to bring the EGTs down, because I reckon I had it just too retarded and it was making the EGTs too high. And I think I've come to the pretty much come to a T with the issues with the exhaust, with the hot side getting too hot. So time to replace this melted rotator cap now. So again, big thanks to Brandon for that. I'm very sorry. I was meant to install this and shout him out ages ago, but as you have seen, I've just been flat out, and this is the first time I've actually had a chance to work on my own car in ages. So there's some other stuff as well. I've got some chrome door handles to throw on it too. So they came from another bloke called Max Savage from down south, like Tasmania, I think. So yeah, heaps of stuff I've been meaning to do for ages, but just haven't had the chance. And also, sorry that I can't remember your YouTube handle or your Instagram handle. I've been trying to check for a little while, but with all this storm activity going around and all the clouds, like I have terrible service here at the best of times, let alone with all this rain and stuff going around. So again today, since we had a pretty clear morning to get the skyline up here and do our dump run and everything we did this morning, but since then it has absolutely just been bucketing down in showers. Comes and goes. Rex's poor old 31 is literally full of water, so it's gonna have to get drained. But anyway, it's good. Like the dam's come up. It's almost half full now. It's this rain's just so good to see after so long. Look how green the place is looking already. So this place does get really, really green in the spring, or in the autumn, I should say, after the big wet. Yeah, this place really does get real green. It's really nice. So awesome to see some water. Anyway, put this new rotator cap on me Dizzy. And then this motor's just about ready to go in. Oh, I did find an issue as well. I actually went and put the right angle fitting on my wastegate. Turns out this is not a 1/8 MPT at all. It's actually a lot smaller than 1/8 MPT. So my little right angle fitting isn't going to fit. So I'm going to need to source another one, which is a bit of a pain. Anyway, it doesn't matter that much. It just means I can't fix that right now. But anyway, that's right. I'll do it eventually. Once this rotator cap's on, this motor's pretty much ready to come off the stand again. Have the new clutch put on with the flywheel, and then it can go back in the car, all in a day's work. New rotator cap all installed, beautiful. Tried to actually clock the whole wastegate around because I didn't have this right angle fitting, but it's not going to work. So I'm going to have to just wait and get a right angle fitting for that gate that's going to work. And got the flywheel on with new flywheel bolts. So for some reason I could only find 4 out of the last that I pulled out of a flywheel, but I've got 2 spare ARP bolts. The reason for that is that ARP for an RB will send you 3S GTE bolts, which are actually, there's 8 of them on the crank. So you always have 2 left over when you do an RB crank with ARP bolts if they send you the 3S GTE pack. So that's why I've got 2 spare ARP bolts. So I thought I'd whack them in with the other 4, which are stock RB25 flywheel bolts. So they're, actual proper legit flywheel bolts now instead of these Ganger Bunnings bolts that I made up for the last one. So there you go, guys. Now to chuck our brand new clutch on. Beauty. So did a little bit of a mischief. These must actually be auto flex plate bolts, and they were too big of a head, and they actually hit on the clutch plate, on the friction plate. So lucky we found these 4, which came out of that patrol we recently did, the GQ patrol, so they're fine. So they've gone in instead. So still pretty much the same thing, it's just that these bolts were a mischief. They didn't quite work.
It's only a minor bust up.
Minor bust up. Bloody amateur hour over here. We forgot to put the sandwich plate on, so we had to take it all back off so we can put the sandwich plate on. How embarrassing for us. Anyway, remember that, people. Sandwich plate goes on before the flywheel and clutch every damn time. Alright, that's looking a lot better. That's pretty sure that's the first time we've ever actually forgotten one of these sandwich plates, which is you know, pretty embarrassing. But anyway, brand spanking new clutch. How beautiful is that? So one of the worst things about having the rain downfall, apart from the frickin' noisy frogs you can hear, is now we've got all these bugs. So with the rain brings bugs after such a long dry spell as well. They'll crawl out of the ground in the moisture, grow their wings and fly into the frickin' shed and piss us off.
Is this freeloader?
Come on, mate. Hey. Oh.
Come back here and eat all the flying insects.
No, it was like a big lizard that like ran that way and he chased it. Friends. Ugh. Go away.
This is nothing though compared to what we have seen before. We've had it.
Early days, Rex. Early days.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, guys, so the motor's pretty much ready to go back in the hole now. All covers, all bases really covered as far as the engine goes. See these flying things are really starting to swarm this place, so I'll probably drop the 31 down. Every time I turn around, there's a million more of them. Anyway.
Hey, Daddy Long Legs got one.
Nice.
This is why we don't kill spiders.
Yeah, this is why we leave spiders around, because they're really good for this sort of damn thing. Look at this. Look at. Anyway, I'm gonna drop the skyline down, and then what we're gonna have to do is turn off the lights. I'll turn on my high beams outside, try and draw all these insects out of the shed, and yeah, see how we go. Because it can't work like this. It's too annoying. All over the ground, all through the shed. Go away. This is what we do. High beams on outside, shed lights off, and just sort of hope that they all just piss off. Get out. Be gone. Righto, so while we had the lights off and we're waiting for the ants all to piss off, they decided to go down and have some dinner instead of just doing nothing while we waited. So, they've come back, they seem to have gone, which is awesome. So, shut the doors up mostly, hopefully they didn't come back. And so now, we are fed, charged up, ready to go get this thing back in the damn hole. And yeah, try and just start on hooking everything back up, really. See where we get to, so. Thing better not leak any oil. If it leaks oil, I'm gonna flip shit. But anyway, it shouldn't do. It has no reason to. Everything's been sort of fixed. What'd you do? Stab yourself? No. Cut yourself?
Yep.
Oh, you stupid. Yeah, oh yeah. Those filters will be sharp.
Yeah, like fucking.
Oh, God. Old claret here.
One of those ones where you feel it slice and you're like,
So since Rex was young, everyone called him Claret because he always manages to bleed all over everything. But anyway, sharp cans are sharp.
yeah.
So we did cut the filter open that we took off this just to inspect it all. All looked pretty mint. So, hey, ready to go back in and just start on the old hooking stuff up. Anyways, that's all the important stuff with the motor pretty much covered. So now you're gonna go just sort of back on time lapse as we put it back in. So I hope you're happy with that because it's what you're getting. And yeah, we'll check back in later on. Righto, nearly done. She's back in. Just working on hooking up a lot of the stuff. But yeah, we'll check back in fairly soon and see how we go tonight. But I'll take yourself time lapse now because the battery's about to die. Rightio guys, so motor's in, all hooked up, everything's done, except for oil. I'm gonna let the RTV and the sump just go off overnight. Simply for the fact that I can't start it tonight anyway because I've got to wait for my battery to charge. So I'm actually going to do a deep cycle charge on my battery tonight. So I can't start it anyway, so I figure while I got to wait for it for the overnight anyway, I may as well just leave it dry so that the RTV can go off properly. But apart from that, it's all ready to go. Filled the radiator with just water, for now, just because of the history I've had with some water leaks in this thing. It's been a bit of a pain every now and then. Pretty sure I got them all sorted though. It hasn't leaked any water since I put water in it, but we'll see what happens when we run it tomorrow. But anyway, that's our motor back in the car, ready to go, all in a day's work. So hasn't been a bad day at all, especially considering we didn't get back from the dump till midday, so we didn't start this until midday. And also, all of you who have been talking about this little doover, thank you. Oh, swallowed a bug. Thank you for finally making me go and buy one, because honestly it's one of those things I've been meaning to buy for ages, and it actually did make this so much easier. So that little thing has actually come in mad handy, so mad, glad that I bought it, so that's awesome. But anyway, that's going to be it for tonight. Probably just do a bit of a tidy up around the place so that tomorrow we can just sort of get back into it and not have to tidy up in the morning. And but yeah, see how it goes tomorrow. Fill it with all the oil and water. Well, fill it full of oil, start it, make sure nothing leaks, and then drain it and put coolant in it. And then after the couch can gets finished off, which I didn't get a chance to do any more on today, but I'll get there one day. Once the couch can's finished, I'll give it a good clean, buff, polish, good detail, and it'll be ready to go for sale. So thanks for watching as always, guys. Appreciate everyone who watches the channel. Hit subscribe, smash like, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers, guys. Catch you later.